Deputy Minister of Justice and Attorney General Justice Rimsai has defended last night's raid on the home of former Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison by national security operatives, asserting that it was conducted lawfully. The justification follows Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo Markin's condemnation of the raid, describing it as unlawful and an abuse of power. Addressing the parliamentary press corps this morning, Afenyo Markin called on President Mahama to immediately take action, as he alleged that the national security operatives stole cash and jewelry from the house.
Your Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, please leave a legacy. Let it be said that even if there were excesses in the exercise of executive power, when you had the opportunity, you changed it for good and own that legacy in your name, Your Excellency. We're tired of the intimidation, the attacks, and the hypocrisy. We were told that Jakpa's first attack on Kenoforiata was not authorized. Today, the same Jakpa, leading armed police, armed military, and so-called party tax, who parade on the streets of Accra as security operatives, terrorizing and traumatizing a respected Ghanaian citizen who has dedicated the better part of his life to serve his country. Now, to Dr. Addison's dear wife, we say to you that take it easy. God be with you and your entire family.
In fact, at the end of their raid, they could not find anything. Unfortunately for the governor, some 10,000 cedis on his bed could not be found. So some of these hungry party foot soldiers that they use, who parade themselves as national security operatives, after all perhaps not even being paid, and they use this opportunity to steal. The governor's wife's earrings and necklaces were also not traced. They couldn't be found. In other words, those operatives stole these earrings and necklaces. Ghana is a mature democracy.
In fact, let me add that I visited the family last night around 10:30 p.m. I was with them. Dr. Addison himself, though traumatized, was hearty and he's taking things easy. I went round, saw the property, and in fact also had the opportunity of visiting his office where the CCTV monitor was. And it was unfortunate the way Jakpa and his men carried themselves, dismantling the CCTV monitor.
So that's the minority leader in Parliament, Member of Parliament for Ifutu, Alexander Afenyo Markin. Just about some hours after that press briefing in Parliament, the Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Justice Rimsai, also spoke to some journalists in Accra. He was responding to the claims by the minority leader, but he said that the raid was carried out with proper legal authorization.
I would like to assure the public that we are, as much as we can, pursuing persons who are believed or are suspected to have looted, state assets, being money or other properties. We are committed, and work is going on day and night for that to be done. Most importantly, we are also doing so within the framework of rule of law, because as you may know, there have been instances in the past where persons who are suspected have been treated, have been arrested in manners that don't comply with the rule of law, where violation of human rights and other laws have been broken just because people are suspected. We've also witnessed instances where people have been put on trial for years without any evidence and without any conviction, without any trial, and they wake up, go to court, and they are just spending money on lawyers. We are determined, and when I say we, I mean my boss, the Attorney General. He is of the view, his policy is that he will not put anyone before any court without having sufficient evidence to prosecute the person. So the reason for the delay we are seeing, or what most of the public are seeing as delay, is that we are making sure that we get the rights. We get it right, we get the evidence before we put someone in court. We are not in the business, or we will not be in the business of putting people before the court and now seeking permission to go and now look for the evidence. At least we must have what we call sufficient evidence to be able to put people before criminal courts. We work with other institutions, and people submit complaints. So, but every search that you see, is part of the government framework to fight the corruption, and we take responsibility for the search that are happening, and we want to make it clear that those searches and the mode in which they were done in accordance with law. Warrants were procured and warrants were used to conduct those searches.
That's a Deputy Minister for Justice and Attorney General Justice Srim Sai. Well, a Deputy Presidential Spokesperson, Shamima Muslim, has also waded into this. She says that these actions are standard procedure.
There are some actions going on. There are some investigations ongoing. There are persons of interest who will be now and again invited to help the investigation processes. There are means of gathering information. One of those means is to visit the homes of these persons of interest. I would just say that we should execute these, processes with due recourse to due process, and once we are doing that, we should have no problem. But what we can tell the general public is that there's really a new heart to leadership, a heart that is very in tune with the people that it's leading, and a heart that wants the best for this nation and wants to, lead a nation that is fair and just and equitable to all Ghanaians, even those that may be found on the wrong side of the law. Because even convicted criminals have rights that must always be respected and enforced. And so you would not have the person of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to seem to be flagrantly abusing rights of citizens. It won't happen. It won't happen. But due process will happen. Individuals who are individuals of interest will be pursued in all the available options to the security agencies to gather their intelligence and to take the necessary action, so we can bring the accountability that we promised the good people of Ghana, for which they voted us into power by such a resounding mandate.
That's the Deputy Presidential Spokesperson, Shamima Muslim. Former Member of Parliament for Domko Abenya, Sarah Adwoa has taken on the New Patriotic Party, NPP, for trying to gag party members. The NPP, in a statement signed by its General Secretary Justin Frimpong Kudia this afternoon, directed NPP members to refrain from discussing internal party matters in the media that could lead to disaffection and unrest. He cited Article 1075 of the NPP Constitution, which mandates coordination of party activities, and also Article 35, which enjoins all party faithfuls to promote and defend the good name of the party. A statement added that to enforce this directive, all executives across board, from constituency to regional and national, have been tasked to refer anyone who violates the directive to the appropriate disciplinary committees. Now, this directive, according to political watchers, is aimed at preventing Adwoa, who's been on a media tour, from further discussing party issues. But just hours after that directive, Adwoa was on a sister station here in Accra, questioning the locus of the NPP General Secretary to issue such a directive. Listen.
When there's a character assassination, there is the need to set the record straight. Nobody should tell me I am discussing party issues on TV, radio, I should stop. Reputation is everything that anybody has got. It has stuck. Things that we said, things that we did, things that we said about me are stuck in the minds of Ghanaians. I've been branded the way I'm not supposed to be branded. And I owe it to myself to clear it up, to let Ghanaians know my side of the story. And that is not selling my party. You know what? Mm-hmm. Nobody gets up in the morning and prays to God Almighty, I expect you to bring a misfortune along my way so I can testify and glorify your holy name. Nobody does that. But as humans, we are bound to face challenges. And I faced challenges at a point in my career. And those who ought to know about those challenges, I let them know. You remember that in 2020, when I was going for the elections, I was heavily pregnant.
Right.
Yes, I have a role to play as a mother. I lost my kid. I lost my baby. I didn't get what I was expecting out of the term of my pregnancy. It didn't end there. In the time of my grief, my oldest son fell ill in the United States. I had to be there And I made sure I notified those who ought to know. And I wasn't there the way they're making the picture look as if you're there and you're not. I was there, and I was making sure that what ought to be said and communicated to all those that matter, I did. We had our flag bearer, once flag bearer and once president, walk on the streets of Ghana, demonstrating the Ghanaians should be allowed to speak. And it's a constitutional right, freedom of speech. Who started speaking? Our general secretary. Who started speaking after we lost the election? He was going everywhere, explaining. He went to the extent of telling people that nobody should blame him for the election, what we lost. He went on radio saying that His Excellency, the President Nana Akufo-Addo, wasn't listening to them at cabinet. That is what Kodua went on radio to say. And what? Now it's Adjoa stand and what? You are issuing a statement. What locus does he have? You were on radio. And if he wants to write a letter, a love letter to me, he should write that love letter. This is so general. And I don't think it's a general statement I want to respond to. But you started the game. He should go on social media and see how the party people are bashing him. He has an election coming up. He shouldn't be allowed, he shouldn't allow himself to be manipulated and used for other people's cause. If you have an election coming up and your party base is bitter and they want a voice to speak for them, I want to clarify something. I've read that statement. I am not discussing party issues here. There has been a character assassination on me. I have been defamed by my own party. And I have a duty owed to myself to clarify, to set the record straight, to strip them off, that whatever they painted me, however they painted me, to bring me down, it's not what it was. It's not what it is. Nobody brought me in the party, and the party is not for anybody. We are all in there to build the party. So nobody can force me out. And you can't force me to keep my mouth shut. Other people speak. When other people speak, and it's not from something that is pushing for the Baumia agenda, that is okay. But when it's something that is for the Baumia agenda, everybody should keep quiet. We are not going to be suppressed. We will not resign until we have Dr. Mahmoud Baumia as the president of this country. He deserves it.
So that's the former member of parliament for Domukwabinya, Sarah Adjoa, just less than an hour ago. Now there's a communique coming from the party dated today. Formal notice of disciplinary action against Honorable Sarah Adjoa, and this is following her interview she had on a sister station less than an hour ago, and this press release just came in from the NPP. Let me read that to you before we engage our resource person, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otre, who is on the line with us. Now let me read to you that statement verbatim. It says, following the directive issued to all members of the New Patriotic Party to cease discussions on matters that create disaffection within the party in the media, Honorable Sarah Adjoa-Safo's comment in the media, particularly on the poll show of Joy News, are clear contravention of the directive issued to all NPP members. As she is aware, the directive explicitly states that all party members must cease discussing party issues that create unrest, negativism, and disaffection in the media and other related platforms. Her actions are not only in disregard of this directive, but also undermines the party's effort to rebuild and move forward. As a former member of parliament, former deputy majority leader, and former minister of state under the Eswal MPP government, she was expected to set a good example and adhere to principles of discipline, loyalty, and unity that have always defined our great party. Her failure to do so not only reflects poorly on her, but also in contravention of Article 33(5) of the party's constitution, which amongst other enjoins us to promote and defend the good name of the party. In breach of the above provision of the party's constitution and the directives issued earlier, Honorable Sarah Adjoa is hereby referred to the National Disciplinary Committee of the party for further action.